I'm on a tour of the Somme and important battle sites connected with the First World War. And at the moment, I'm at the Menin Gate, and I thought it would be a good opportunity just to talk about the second movement of my Great War Symphony, which is now complete. The second movement deals with the years 1915 to 1916, and I've called the movement from the symphony March. And really there are two reasons for this. One is because the march is such an important musical genre associated with war and with the military, given its simple meter and dotted rhythms, ba 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 ba, tan ta ta tan ta ta tan, these lovely martial rhythms. And I've also called it march because a march has a sense of the inevitable. It's moving forward all the time to a given end. I start the movement with words spoken by Archbishop Randall Davison. The Archbishop of Canterbury preached a sermon in St Paul's Cathedral on the 1st of August 1915. That is the exact first centenary of the outbreak of the war. And he chose as his text some words from the first letter to the Corinthians. Quit ye like men, be strong in the faith. And so these words are what accompanies this very first section of the second movement with its strong march rhythms. Then I'm aware that it's time to introduce the soprano soloist. We didn't hear her at all in the first movement. And I'm so pleased with this aria that has evolved. It's a setting of a poem by the female poet Margaret Postgate Cole called The Falling Leaves. It begins, "Today as I rode by, I saw the brown leaves dropping from their tree in a still afternoon." And goes on to, "I wandered slowly thence, forethinking of a gallant multitude, which now all withering lay, slain by no wind of age or pestilence, but in their beauty strewed, like snowflakes falling on the Flemish clay." And that's set as a kind of a slow march with its reference to riding and wandering. Now, there were two very important events that I wanted to cover in this second movement. One is Gallipoli, and the other is the war at sea, the Battle of Jutland. And for Gallipoli, I chose a very famous poem in Australia by the poet Sidney Bolitho. And I take two verses from his quite extensive poem, actually. And the first verse ends, "Gallipoli, Gallipoli, Australians tread Gallipoli." Beautiful words. I love the word Gallipoli, which is first introduced in the altos. Gallipoli, on a single note. But again, there's this feeling of moving forward. And then the Battle of Jutland. And here the movement goes into the cellos and the basses, depicting the movement of the sea, of a constant flow of the waves. Here I juxtapose the soprano solo with the choir, and I take words from a war memorial written by parents for their deceased son. "No cross or headstone shall mark the spot, but somewhere on the ocean bed he lies as well as a coffined king until the sea gives up its dead." And the second movement ends with a reference to the first day of the Battle of the Somme, the 1st of July, 2016. And here this constant movement of the second movement reaches a climax. And I take words from the diary of the famous war poet Siegfried Sassoon. And the whole movement builds up to one of the biggest climaxes in the symphony as a whole. quite frightening and terrible. And the words of his diary are this: "There has been hell let loose. The air vibrates with the incessant din. The whole earth shakes and rocks and throbs. It is one continuous roar. Inferno, inferno." And so the movement comes to an abrupt end.